it's producing water at 72 degrees, which is perfect. And you can feel the heat off that, it's really quite hot. So when you go to a showroom and you see nice new stoves, and you see a nice expensive one, maybe £2 or more, and you can see that they burn really clean because the flames move really slowly around in the combustion chamber. And how that works is they insulate the stove so that the heat can't get out very easily, and that makes it burn much hotter, and that's when you get a nice clean burn. And then you can have less air coming in and still maintain a good temperature, which means less of the heat goes up the chimney. So what I've done with mine is I've made heat shields out of these bits of scrap metal that you get out the skips. Now these are flashings for industrial buildings, okay, a bit like this. And these are some heat shields that I took out, but what I do is I make shields that go round the back boiler, which helps reflect the heat back into the stove. And to get the shape, you can put them in a vise and just bend them with your hand to try and make them up. They're a bit less than a millimetre. I think they're probably something like 0.8 of a millimetre thick. So there's one in place on the one side of my back boiler, and you can see this white high temperature insulation it's very soft actually, so I don't expect it to last forever, but it's what they use inside oil boilers, and I got it from the plumbers merchants. So they're like, yeah, it goes inside the oil boilers. So anything I can insulate, I can. Like this is a bit scruffy, but I've pushed out these little pieces of metal and put insulation behind them as well. Okay, so that's yeah, that's the heat shield insulation, so on. Now that is the top. Now when my stove was new, this baffle was in the top of the stove up here, and it had to come out in order to fit the back boiler. So I've cut that down and I've reused it now. It's basically like that. Okay. So by getting threaded bar and putting it in a drill, you can spin it while it's touching a grinder and you'll get a point on it. And the reason for that is you can drill little dimples out which help hold them in place. And then I've used bits of bar to support and hold the top heat shield in place. Now I've doubled up on these, so there's 2 heat shields here, and there's 2 on the rear and 2 on the left hand side, and it's just a single fat piece of steel at the top. Now the insulation will shrink a bit, so you need to cut yourself little packers like this and shove it in, and that will also help hold these heat shields in place. Okay, so that's the video I've shown you already. So the way I did it was I put the sides in first, then I pushed the rear one in, which pushes and holds the side ones in place, and then I put the top one in, and the top one holds the sides in place and the rear one. And now I get a really clean burn. And really big hardwood logs, you can just put them in and they burn completely away to ashes. As before, you know what it's like with a back boiler, you have to have the stove racing and it doesn't even want to burn the big bits of wood. So I was delighted to have worked that one out. So hopefully you will succeed in doing something similar. I think that's it. I think that's all I can tell you. Yeah, so there we are. So good luck with that, alright? Cheers and bye. Bye-bye.